and today is going to be very exciting nonetheless because we have the first presentation of oGame, the first viable version. I think we have a working backend and a front-end mockup. So Amateur, can you present what you've been working on? I'm very excited to see it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, good. So we finally have a first workable version, which I will share the screen in a second. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it. People just have to click on watch stream and then they should be able to see it.
Can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. This is the read contract, the read page of the contract, where we have a view function to see the number of planets, which means the number of players basically, because at the moment one player can have just one planet, so one NFT.
Sorry to interrupt you. We currently see your Discord screen, so we don't see you.
Okay, sorry. Let me have a look. Okay, now should be.
Yes, now we see it. Perfect.
Okay. So so the first function on the read contract page on Voyager is the number of planets, which returns the number of planets assigned to players currently, which is now 0, which is the contract is freshly deployed. On or off, we can enter our address, or actually anyone else's address, and see their planet ID. With a ERC721, we can see the ERC721 contract address. The same with the token addresses. In case of the token ERC20s that represent the resources, we can copy paste them into Argent and just add a token like so. And just so going on, we have the 3 addresses for the 3 resources. We can see the structures level for our planet with this function. Always put in your own address and resources available, and structures upgrade cost for the next upgrade for each structure. And we have a view function for the time to complete the upgrade, which so basically every upgrade will start a time lock, and this function will return a timestamp, which we can plug into a website like this one, and we can have the exact time of time lock finish, basically. And here we can also see the points for each player or for ourselves. And every 1000 resources spent, we gain 1 point. Yeah, probably, let's see if the token is going on. Yeah, so we got the first token here. I will create the planet in a second, and you see that the resource will be updated here. In the right contact page, we have a generate planet. The first function is for just for the admin to insert the ERC20 token addresses at the first time the contract is deployed. I'm gonna generate a planet here. Let's hopefully everything's gonna go by the plan. Okay. I'm gonna wait for the transaction to go through. going forward. So we have two functions to collect for the resources collection. One is for the actual collection, which means that once this one is called, the resources will be actually sent to the address. So this is a write function which will cost something, while this one will just return the resources available at the moment. So this is just computation basically, and will not cost anything to the user, will not need to be signed. And going back here, we have for each structure, we have two function call at the moment. I'm working on a way to make it in just one call. So at the moment we have a first function that once called, upgrade start, will activate a time lock, which is based on the amount of resources that the structures will cost. So the more resources it costs, the more time it will take to update. And to know that the finish of the update, the upgrade, we need to go on back on this completion time. We enter the address, our address. We know the timestamp, then timestamp, and it does return also a building ID. I will show you in a minute. Back here. So once the time lock is finished, we can complete a grade, which will write the new structure level, and we will be able to see it here. Hopefully, the transaction will go through soon. Not the case at the moment. So yeah, basically the game is this at the moment. So we can update 4 structures, which are metal, crystal, deuterium, solar plant, actually 5 structure, and robot factory. Each upgrade will will raise the resources production. The robot factory is used to reduce the the upgrade time. So the higher the level, the shorter will be the upgrade time, basically. Okay, this has been accepted. So now let's go back on our Argent wallet and see if the resources have gone through. Please an update. Bit laggish. Sorry about that. Yeah, as you can see, once you create a planet, you will get a fixed amount of resources in the beginning. Let's add also the other token, which is crystal. Yeah, Voyager's been very slow for the past 6-7 days, and now started working again, but it's a bit inconsistent in the performance. So, crystal address. So yeah, at the beginning we will receive 500, 300 crystal and 100 deuterium. Okay, as you can see your tokens. And let's try an upgrade, starting upgrade. Sorry, if we go now on the resource available, we will have a 0 everywhere. Sorry, sorry, structure level. Okay. Yeah, so all the structure are 0 at the moment, and the first structure we want to upgrade is the solar plant, because with no energy we can't get any resources. If we upgrade any mine and we have 0 energy, and no production will be made. So we start the upgrade with one call, transaction call. Nice messages from Argent. So I think the first thing that come to attention is that the UX at the moment is not great because it takes too long to send transactions, and takes too long to have the transaction on L2 accepted on L2. So it's not great, but I'm sure that with the time the network performance will be much better. So now if we go back to read, we go on build time completion, we can query this function, and well, it's not gone through. Obviously, we need to wait for the transaction to be accepted. Meanwhile, there's another update, which is the front end. So we also have a front end mockup ready. Should I show it?
Yeah, please. I want to see it.
Yeah. Okay. And ta-da! It's pretty different from the original, obviously, and this we decided to call it NOgame. That was an idea of Francesco. Thank you, Francesco, for the idea, just to avoid any copyright issue. So here we will have the player points on top right and the player ranking. For the moment, I was planning to have the leaderboard on chain, but it's gonna be a bit difficult. So for now, we will just try to compute the leaderboard off chain, but the points will be on chain. So that's no cheating there. And we will have for each resource, we will have the amount of resources on each of these boxes. This in the center will be the NFT image. On this right box, we will have the metadata, which will be planet size, planet temperature, planet's position. At the moment, this metadata will not affect any game dynamic, but they will be in the future. And here at the bottom, we will have the map for each mine. We will have the level shown, the next upgrade cost, the upgrade time, and here this will be a button to start the upgrade and to complete the upgrade. Look, transaction has gone through. Okay, it's been accepted. If we go back here, we should see now that. Yeah. So we got building ID, which is 4 for the solar plant, and this timestamp. So if I copy paste this timestamp in the website, this should be already finished in a few seconds actually. So we see that 299 should be ready in a minute. Anyway, going back to the front page. So this clicking on upgrade with start the upgrade, we will know the finish of the upgrade here on the left, and with one more transaction call, we'll be able to finish the upgrade. So this will be basically the game for now, which is a pre-version, a very limited pre-version. I'm now working on the fleet implementation, which is probably the most complex part of the game. Let's see, finish. So yeah, and this is it really. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for showing us all of this. Any questions for oGame?
I have a question. Alex, what will the next version will be able to do in terms of the roadmap?
Yeah, so the next version we will have planet coordinates implemented, and there will be we will have ships, so basic ships. Another interesting problem that someone brought up in the channel, in the oGame channel Discord, is the fact that there's a possibility of multi-accounting. It can't be controlled really. Where in the original game they block IPs if you have multiple accounts. We can't do it, right? So my idea was that we can just remove the colonies completely, and any player can basically have one planet for address, and that's a limitation. The limitation of how many planets one can have is just about how much time you can dedicate to the game, or how good is in implementing a bot to control the game, basically, I think. Yeah, the next version would be ships and the research lab to develop technology to build the ships. And that would be the version 0.2. And in the version 0.3, we will hopefully be able to have interaction between players, which means that battles can happen. So, yeah.
Very cool.
So I have two questions. In terms
Sure.
of you showed us like I think it was 4 resources and 1 building that you've implemented so far. Is that the is that I assume that's still limited, right? So there are probably more resources and more buildings that are still waiting to be
Yes.
implemented, right?
Yes. So the next building will be the robot factory building, and will be the shipyard building, and what else? So yeah, probably I'm gonna implement satellites for energy. So I will try to get the game as close as possible and to the original, and from there I think we can start thinking about how to extend it somehow. So like leverage blockchain to implement something new that's not in the original game.
That's awesome. Looking forward to that. And the second question I had was you mentioned that the next version is going to be implementing the fleets and ships. And you mentioned
Yeah.
that this is going to be probably the most challenging part. Can you elaborate why it's going to be challenging?
Yeah, the idea would be to have 1155 tokens to represent fleets. Also, each ship will have different characteristic, which can be the shield capacity, the weapons, the kind of weapons. So that's also a characteristic of ship-to-ship dynamic in oGame, where it's called rapid fire. So some ships they much more effective against other ships specifically. For example, cruiser are very effective against light fighters. So one cruiser can take down 20 light fighters, for example, while it's not true the opposite. So all these kind of dynamics are quite intricate. So probably this will be quite challenging, but I am looking forward to it.
Awesome. And another question that popped into my mind, we would have had a presentation by Mortimer about his lightweight order book decks that will
Sure.
be implemented into oGame. I'm just curious, have you thought about specifically how to implement a DEX in this game that makes sense, or kind of what are the steps necessary to take, if you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's also an interesting question, because it brings up the issue of the travel time. So normally when you ship a resource to someone, it takes time to travel between your planet to the other planet. With ERC20, the transfer can be instant. So you just go on your wallet and you send your tokens to someone else, right? So probably it would be, I think, ideal to extend the standard ERC20 with a time lock based on the planet coordinates, basically. So this will be probably one step. And in the DX also, this will have to be implemented. So there will need to be a time lock where we need to know the price between between resources, but also the transfer time. So this is also something to think about.
I see, that makes sense. Do you have any kind of timeline when the next version is going to be ready?
Well, with Amsterdam in the middle, I think 4 weeks would be a good target. I think. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
the guys are working on the front end on the front end at the moment. So it was just a mock-up, and Matchbox guys will work on the front end development. And once we have that, say for only 4 weeks. I'm trying to be optimistic, but yeah.
All right, awesome. Definitely looking forward to the future versions and to a front end that's going to be really sweet. Does anybody have questions for Amatel and for oGame? If nobody has questions, then I will have to wrap up this call already because we only have one presentation today.
I just have one question. So Alex, how do you imagining the distribution of resources initially? What will be? Did you thought about the economic part of the game
Yeah,
already?
that's a good question, which I didn't touch. So the way that I implemented the ERC20 interaction is that the owner of the ERC20 is the game contract itself. And basically, when the resources are collected, they are basically minted by the contract. And when someone builds a structure or a ship, so when someone spends the resources will be burned. So there's a minting and burning, continuous minting and burning. There's no initial supply, basically.
But how someone can mint something? What will be the ability to mint?
So
Depend
so
on.
let's say that your mine produce 1,000 metal a day. Once you press collect resources, the oGame contract will mint the metal token, and they will send it to you.
Oh, I see. So every star will have a fixed amount of.
Yes. So
Okay.
basically, yeah. So every time you collect resources, those tokens are minted. Every time you build something, those resources are burned.
And do you think you launched the order book exchange with the first version? Did you had those conversations with Mortimer or?
I think no, we're a bit far from there. I think that will be at least the second version. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to mention that I think it's a very good idea to have these kind of token things, right? We've had this conversation in the Discord today where with a chart where all of the play to earn games, basically their token values have flatlined after time because so much inflation happens and there's no real use for those tokens, right? So I think it's a very good approach to have continuous token sinks for the tokens that are involved in oGame. Simply because it adds value to the token, right? If every time you have to you want to build a ship and you have to burn up your resources for that, then the resources are actually going to be valuable, right? I think that's a very good approach.
And also because the production, so the cost, the structure cost against the production amount is logarithmic. It does tend to plateau. So basically, there's kind of like a Bitcoin dynamic on the token distribution. You reach a limit where it's not viable, it's not really economically viable. Produce further resources, basically. And we will reach the point where the only resources are the one that are already in the game. So how to explain that? But yeah, there will be like a plateau on the amount of.
Can you elaborate on that? Does that mean that
So basically, yeah. Sorry.
Does it mean that basically if I have like three buildings that produce metal and I build a fourth one, then it's going to not be efficient anymore to build the fourth one? Or
No,
how does it work?
exactly. So yeah, the efficiency of the levels degrades. So basically, the amount of resources. So basically, the first levels produce a lot of resources compared to the amount they cost. Whereas the higher levels, they cost a lot, but they produce. They're not economically. It's not economically convenient to build an extra level, considering the resources that it gives you.
So does it mean it makes sense to keep building level 1 factories for resources?
No. You can just have one factory, and just have one factory for a planet.
Oh, I see.
So it's just one factory that can be upgraded as much as you want, yeah, as many levels as you want.
I see. That makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love how much thought has gone into all of this, and definitely looking forward to future versions. It's my favorite
Okay.
project.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussions? Like, don't be shy if anything is on your mind. Just get it out there. We'd all love to hear it.
Anyway, I will link the contract address on the Discord channel, so everyone be able
I had one question, but not a technical one, and not about the tokenomics either. It was about in the mock-up of the front end you showed, you called it the NOgame. Is that because the game is licensed elsewhere, or what's the reasoning for not calling it the original name?
Oh, sure. So the game, this game is inspired to oGame, which is a game that exists is managed by a company called I think it's SourceForge, something like that. So it's a Web2 company, and there's probably copyright issues by calling it oGame. So we were chatting once with Francesco Ceccone, and he came up with the idea of NOgame. So why not? It's funny, I think, because it's not oGame, and it's also saving us from copyright.
Okay, and just the next question is, do you think that like I when I found out that this was one of the projects, I went to that oGame that you're talking about, and started to play a game, and obviously ran into like the deuteronium production. So it sounds like using like the same resources. Do you think that maybe you need to obfuscate a few degrees further so that it's not as clearly a clone and more inspired by, or I guess how are you approaching the sort of IP aspect of this?
IP as in sorry, I didn't get the question right, probably. Are you talking about making the game a bit different from the original?
Yeah, I guess
Or
so. How to make sure there's clear water between that version and then the version that you're creating. If the resources and the factories have the same name.
yeah. Well, I think I'm not sure they can be some issue can be raised for similar naming, to be honest, because Metal Mine is a general name, it's just a word, I guess. I don't know. I think the game is cool as it is, as dynamic. So the way the game is built is very cool already, and so I'm not planning to change any of the basics for now. I hope this question.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. Any other questions? Anything else that's on your mind? DSI, do you have anything new in terms of your MEV stuff potentially? Just asking out of curiosity. Like it's totally fine if you don't have anything.
So I may have so I published an npm package to simply to analyze function code and on-chain data from starknet transaction or contract call or even analyzing blocks. But that's it. Right now I will be working on analyzing arbitrage and liquidation at the starknet hackathon, and I will be using this tool. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
Sure, awesome. Thanks for sharing. Just wanted to ask if there's anything new, because I saw your tweet about the npm package. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. If there are no questions, no discussions, nothing that anybody wants to get out of his mouth, then I'm going to wrap up this call. Now's your last chance to say anything. All right, that's it then. Thank you so much for presenting oGame, Amitel, and thank you for the update, DSI. See you guys hopefully next week. I will announce if we have a dev call or not. You will be notified either way. All right, thank you guys, and see you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.